We'd been writing studio movies for a while and sort of grown frustrated. We'd both gone to film school together and we were thinking, when are we going to direct something? So we tried to think of something that we could do quickly, that wouldn't use more than a few locations, and that we'd have the resources to do. And initially, the idea was so far-fetched that we were going to do it all in one weekend. And then we went so far as to say we were going to do it all in one take, like rope. And it was going to be everyone in one house at a party, and we were just going to keep shooting and shooting until we were done the movie.
It was only the second original script we'd ever written. So in a way, like, not really knowing what we were doing made it more pure, and I think you could relate to that. You could relate to that the characters were pretty sincere. The first version we wrote was about 3 guys who were all good friends. And they were just going to go to the party, and each one had an agenda. And when we read it back, it just seemed too...
It seemed phony.
Yeah, it seemed like, well, the jock wouldn't really be friendly with this guy who wants to go to some writing workshop, and then the geek. And we realized that it was better to tell separate stories about people who were going to come together and make unexpected connections over the course of this night.
We were just going, honey. That music came on, and when the music went off, that's when it got hard. Because we were in there like, woo! And then you got to act like the music's still on and kind of offbeat. And then you watch the movie, and it's nothing that you were listening to.
It's always weird when you're doing a party scene, because you have to pretend like there's loud music and, but the acting part of it. But I mean, this was seriously, it was such easy work. That being probably the hardest part of this job was pretending there's loud music. Oh, better get some classes before this job. Whoa.
All of us were young, and we were fresh in the business, and it was exciting, and we knew each other.
I mean, we were not that far apart in age from most of them. And it felt like a bunch of people who were sort of all the same age making this movie together. There were no sort of grown-ups on the set.
That was like the one movie where you wanted to like go to the set even though you didn't work, just to hang out because you knew everybody.
It was party central. It wasn't even like going to work. We all came, we had drinks and stuff in the dressing room.
It really was kind of like reliving high school, because most of us were either still in high school or just fresh out.
Anytime, and it happened quite a bit, anytime somebody fell asleep on set, we would take a Polaroid picture next to them, and you hang signs on them. It's just like being at a real party, but we got so complicated. At one point, I have a Polaroid of a girl like this, covered in like caution tape with 9 people all around her like, and that was the vibe on set. It was like that.
I think when you were on that set, you knew there was a special energy, and you definitely felt like these amazing, talented kids are all around you.
It was a young cast. We all kind of got along, and it's been fun tracking everyone's careers after that movie, because so many people have gone on to do different things, and then you go on and work with them again. The non-alcoholic beer.
It's terrible! Nobody drink the beer! The beer has gone bad!
Because everyone smelled like nasty beer, but it was all non-alcoholic, so you weren't really getting the buzz, but it was like that skunk smell of beer. So everyone had that skunk smell beer on them, and it was like, man, we're not even getting the buzz off of this thing because it's all non-alcoholic, but we still have to smell like it.
Back here, Billy!
I think our very last day of shooting was the day where I jumped Mike Dexter. And I remember the first time I jumped off the roof and I mashed my nads on the back of Peter's head. Just like, bam. And from then on, I knew I'd be friends with Peter. I was like, we have a close bond now. Genitalia to the back of the head. Doesn't get any closer. I ate snowballs every day of high school off my truck. So I pulled them off of the craft service table and thought it was funny and just a random tidbit, and it looked very boobs. And then I thought that my character was probably hungry in all the excitement, which is why then I pick it up and I start eating into it. I think they were turning the cameras around or something, and they're like, sit down, you need to get touched up or something. And I was like, oh, where do I sit? And Charlie was sitting somewhere, and I was all scattered and nervous and crazy as usual. And they're like, oh, sit in your chair. And I was like, I have a chair? And they're like, yeah, you have a chair. I was like, well, you know, not my own chair. And then they brought out a chair that was this, and I like flipped out. I couldn't believe that I got one. I was like, oh, I thought, you know, they'd give one to Jennifer Love Hewitt and Facinelli and everyone, but I was like, it was very kind of them to give it to me.
Deb and Harry would often toss things to us. You know, there was a real free spirit to it.
They're just down to earth. They'd let us do what we wanted, yet of course give their input.
We would do the scene as written in the script, and then Deb and Harry would get an idea and be like, say this, try tossing this out there, you know, and Joel and I were happy to sort of roll with that. And I think a lot of fun stuff came from it. And I know the David Duchovny line was done on the fly.
You know, William, from this light, you somewhat resemble David Duchovny.
Deb and Harry threw out a line like, watch out for the anal, you know, the anal probe, like something about the anal probe, and we're supposed to be sleeping. And so then I improv, Daddy, don't stick that probe there, Daddy.
This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen! Everyone wants to know what was in the refrigerator. Nothing. Nothing. That was just I imagined it was some sort of shrunken, pickled head, but that was just my imagination. There was actually nothing purposely put in the fridge to gross me out.
When the cops come in, everybody just trashes the house, and we saved that for the very end of shooting. We had everybody just running around, just tearing shit up, and the crew was in there at some points. We literally let some camera assistants just run around and knock stuff over. I can't remember if there's still a shot in the movie where the door shuts, and you see somebody spray painted "This party sucked." Did we paint that? We must have done that. When Jason Segel was sitting there with Brian Klugman and they're talking to Love about, you know, where...
Trying to describe
and
Preston.
He's licking this watermelon. I remember he showed me, because he had a lot of time, he had crafted like a rather graphic representation of
There was
the
like
female
a channel
anatomy
in the center.
that he just went at with his tongue. And I don't think you can see what he's doing, but I know it's there. I know what he was thinking. And if you look at the scene now, knowing what he's doing, it is really kind of porny.
There's one couple who throughout the movie were they a real couple?
Yeah, they were a real couple.
And all they do is make out. They're in the back of 5, 6, 7 scenes, and they're always making out. I'll tell you what shot I don't like, that sticks out in my mind and still makes me cringe, is when Love walks in the door, and the freaking fan is on her, and she's not sure what to do, and for some reason she takes this very long, awkward pause at the door, and then walks, and it's so awkward, and it's so awkward that they ripped it off in not another teen movie and made a big deal out of it, but it makes me cringe. I think about it now. It's so bad.
I didn't mind it.
I think initially we wanted Preston to call the radio station and get to speak to Barry Manilow. I think the thought was that Barry Manilow was going to give him some advice that changed his life.
I have a really important question for Barry Manilow.
The first version of that scene, he went to a diner and talked to a waitress. And right away we thought, let's get Molly Ringwald to play the waitress. That'd be so cool to get, like, you know, the 80s teen queen and put her in this movie. But we weren't happy with the waitress. It just seemed too standard. It was boring.
I think it's fun to sort of have an angel come in with the, you know, actuality that she was a stripper.
I think the idea was, a funny costume is always good.
Yeah.
Like somebody in a weird costume, and we just went through all the ideas like, well, is she dressed in like a bunny costume or like some weird animal? And then it just hit us like, oh wait, maybe she's dressed literally as an angel, like she's his guardian angel. And then we just kind of went with the counterpoint of she's a stripper dressed as an angel. And then we got lucky enough to cast Jenna. I mean, it was the very beginning of Dharma and Greg. She was doing movies, she was really busy. But she read it and met with us and agreed to do it.
I showed up that one night and shot my scene and left. And that was my whole experience shooting the film. It was like this one night of filming.
I mean, we were shooting really, really late at night, and she was
freezing, and she was out there in a bikini for 7, 8 hours.
And she was like, let's do one more. Let's keep going. I mean, she was upset that the sun came up. She wanted to keep going. She just really gave it her all.
People loved The Angel and Can't Hardly Wait. They stopped me on the street a lot. And it catches me off guard every time. Because I almost forgot, you know, it was a day of work. I really hope for her sake that she's not still stripping. That poor little angel girl. I hope she's found some true love. I hope she found someone that gives her the pleasure that, you know, Scott Baio had for her in her little head. That she's not lonely and stuck on Scott Baio anymore. Hope she's moved on.
Hey, man, you want a beer?
Well, Jerry's, you know, He's an icon in himself. And I actually went to school with his brother Charlie. We went to theater school together at NYU. And so I knew Jerry a little bit, but you know, Jerry was in Stand By Me. He's like, you're awesome. And so being able to work with him was fantastic. And I kind of had that same vibe when I sat down next to him. I was like, you're Jerry O'Connell.
Trip McNeely. Trip McNeely.
He just took over. We had so much fun with him.
He was great.
And I mean, it's still, I still can't believe that belch he let out.
There's a woman I know who's a private investigator, and she was trying to investigate somebody, and it had come up that he was a member of Delta Iota Kappa, and she looked it up online, and she couldn't find it as a registered fraternity. And she did more research, and then she called me, and she's like, there's like a fake fraternity club based on Delta Iota Kappa. Like, people claim to be members of that fraternity. This guy had it on his, you know, his CV or whatever. So.
Because, you know, it spells dick.
I think they
Start
knew that.
our highbrow, just in case anybody missed out. Because honestly,
Anyone doesn't know their Greek alphabet.
I don't think I would have gotten it.
Guys like us, we are a dime a dozen.
No one knows, I had a dog in this movie. I had a gigantic, it was like this big white and gray fluffy beast dog. I mean, it was massive. And we had to wipe lamb baby food all over our necks to get the dog to jump up and act as though it was like kissing and attacking and this whole thing. I always, you know, wonder, like, whatever happened to the dog?
Every sort of generation needs its high school movie, and I think it found its audience. You know, I still meet kids who are like, oh, that was my favorite movie in high school, which just makes me feel really old.
10 years later, I still get approached by complete strangers everywhere I go. Hey, were you in the movie Can't Hardly Wait? I'm like, are you kidding me?
I've done a lot of stuff since then, but you know, a lot of times people be like, can't hardly wait. So it's funny that I get that out of it. All the things I've done.
Everywhere I went, people, you know, knew who I was.
If I shave and if I'm in the skinny period between seasons of Brotherhood, you know, which has been nice doing Brotherhood. I have gotten a break from it. Because I spent 9 months out of the year being 220 pounds. People don't recognize me that much anymore. But if I shave or have short hair, then yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah.
Presto! Mike Dexter's a god. He's a role model. I get that all the time. It's very funny.
You were the little black girl spanking Jamie Presley's ass. That's you, huh? I'm like, yeah, that's me.
People will come up and they'll be like, were you in Can't Hardly Wait? And my initial response is like in my head, oh, awesome, it's so nice, somebody cares. And then I immediately go to, oh my God, I must look so ugly today. Oh God, do I look that ugly today? Can I possibly be that ugly?
No, to this day, people still, you know, stop me on the street for jock number 3, which is amazing.
Joel Micheley, Seth Green, and I, and if one of the other cast was there, we were playing bingo. And there are these kids sitting next to us, and they're reciting all of our lines. And they don't know it's us, because we're, you know, dressed down, whatever. I think Seth had a hat on. And all of a sudden we hear these really familiar words, and we look, and they're reenacting our scenes. And we all turned and looked at them and like, wave, they freaked out. I mean, people freak out to this day.
This film really struck a chord.
A lot of the kids who stop me are teenagers who have revisited that film and have went back and watched it.
For a movie to still be popular or people still like it 10 years later is a good sign.
Truth is, I love this movie. I really do. And anytime anybody brings it up to me, I'm always kind of thrilled that they feel the same way.
You can shit and critique a movie all you want, but the funny thing is people love that movie.
And I still meet people, you know, who I don't realize are that young, and they're like, oh my God, that was my favorite movie. And